So welcome to the lecture 12 of the machine learning course. In this session, we are going to talk about a new topic that is called the concept learning. This topic is very important in terms of the learning. Here you would see that what would happen, and that if how much data at least is required. If some data is given to you, then you develop the hypothesis on that. How many hypothesis functions you need to have. What would happen that if the number of hypothesis function are very large or very less. And also we would be seeing that if the number of hypotheses are very large, how can you, because if the number of hypotheses are very large, till now we have only discussed that you evaluate all these hypotheses one by one and tell me that which one is the best. But is there a way that you can start from here, you can go somewhere, and at the end you can reach to the most suitable one? Is there any way to do that? If it is possible, then even if with the large hypothesis space, you would be efficiently able to find out the right kind of parameters. So all these things are topic for today's class. So initially, I would start by just giving some basics to you. The first thing that all of you know that we have, when I was talking about the basic machine learning ML model components, then I was talking about that there is some function called a special function that is called the concept. Okay, so you know that the setting is this, that you have a database. Setting is this, that you have a database, and where some properties, for example, x1 and x2 and x3 are provided, and then there is a target variable that is y, and its value of y is there. So you assume that there is a function that if you provide the value of x1, x2, and x3, you would be able to find out that what is the value of y. However, we know that this function, the true function, that is the true function, is a, maybe the God knows about that. We don't know about that. So what we do, we come up with another function that is a hypothesis function that we call as a hypothesis function. And there are very many candidates of this particular hypothesis. So we can say that there is a set H, and this particular function belongs to that particular set. So we somehow, by our hypothesis, by our philosophy, we come up that this kind of function should be there. So by our philosophy actually takes us to this particular set, and then we actually pick up a suitable function out of that. So if this part is clear to everybody, say yes. So this part is very much clear to everybody. Say yes. Sorry. Shashwat? Yeah. So what I wanted to tell, that this function that we few minutes back we were talking about, this particular function f, is a special function that is called the concept function. So the guard function is called to be concept function. So you would be calling this function as a concept function. So in the same way that we have actually assumed here, we can also assume that there is some set C, where all the right functions are there, and this particular function for which we are hunting is also belongs to that particular set. So everybody is clear about that. What is the concept function? Okay, what is the concept function? Everybody is clear about this. Then what is the concept learning? Finding out that particular hypothesis. Okay, okay. So this is what we have now. I wanted to show you a particular small database to set the everything in our perspective, and we would be into the later point of time, we would be using this database to explain the concept. Whenever, without class of generality, you can assume any database. I'm just having a database so that you identify this database, and we can discuss based on that. Okay, so this we are going to talk about a small database. That's just a simple description. Let's assume that. And this is what the database is. Okay, let's assume that this is a small database. How many items are there? How many tuples are there? 4 tuples. Only 4 examples are there. Okay, so what are the attributes? Sky is an attribute, air temperature is an attribute, humidity is an attribute, wind is an attribute, water is an attribute, forecast is an attribute, and then there is a target attribute, that is a enjoy sports. So in terms of the database properties, what are these things? These things are actually attributes. So how many attributes? Once again, wind is an attribute, water is an attribute, forecast, sky, air temperature, and humidity. Let's also assume that a wind can take only 2 values, strong and weak. Strong and weak. Sky can take sunny, cloudy, and rainy. Air temperature could be warm or cold. Water could be warm or cold. Forecast could be same or change. Humidity could be normal or high. Let's assume that only these values are possible. Okay, so if everything is clear to you, then these are the 4 examples that we have created. How we created this? that I wanted to take this value of a sky. It could be sunny, cloudy, rainy. Let's assume that the sky is rainy, then air temperature is warm, humidity is normal, wind is strong, water is warm, forecast is same. Then I am going to enjoy some sport, maybe some swimming or some badminton or any game is there. I whether I'm going to enjoy that particular game on that day or not. So yes means yes, I'm going to enjoy. So another example, sunny, warm, high, strong, warm, same. Yes. Rainy, cold, high, strong, warm, change. No. Sunny, warm, high, strong, cool, change. Yes. If I ask you that, can you give me another one more? The it because you know that this is what the training data is. Let's assume that this data is is given to you and it is your training data. Can you give me any challenge, new data, that what is the value, you can ask like that. Query example. So you may take anything. For example, wind is equal to weak when water is equal to warm, forecast is equal to same, air temperature is equal to cold, sky is equal to cloudy, humidity is equal to normal. Can you tell me what is going to happen? Let me write it here. So sky is cloudy, sky is equal to cloudy, air temperature is cold, and humidity is normal. Humidity is normal, and the wind is equal to weak, and water is equal to warm, forecast is equal to same. Can you tell me what should be the value over here? Any idea? Can you tell me what should be the value over here? So ultimately, this is our objective, because we know that there exists some concept function that actually, if you supply these values, will be able to provide you, but we don't know. So we want to find out a hypothesis function. So whether this particular problem setting is clear to everybody, can you write yes? We can go ahead. Yes. Shashwat? Yes. Okay. Now we are going to talk about this hypothesis. Okay, let me create a hypothesis, and then using that hypothesis, we are going to find out. So ultimately, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give you a hypothesis and try to see that what is the prediction of this particular item that we had just talked about with respect to that hypothesis. Then we would change this hypothesis, because based on it should be tuned on the data. Then we would change this hypothesis so that we can find out a better hypothesis, and then we can use the similar procedure to find out that what is the prediction on that better hypothesis. Okay. Once again, how can we say that one hypothesis is better than other? So if you, for the first hypothesis, you compute on the, because you can compute for the new data, you can compute on the existing data. So if you compute on the existing data, you can find out that at how many places it is agreeing to the output level. So it could be treated as a accuracy. Okay, the places it is going to agree with the output, it is going to be treated as a accuracy, and then we can utilize this particular fact later point of time, and we can tell that this particular hypothesis is going to be better than the another one. Okay. So everything is clear. Okay. Next thing that I wanted to tell you, that how I am going to form the hypothesis. So today, you know that earlier we have seen that there was some procedure by which we were telling that if their attributes are there, then we are going to say that W0x0 plus W1x1 plus dot dot dot. If this value is greater than some threshold, then we are going to say yes. Otherwise, we are going to say no. This was one way. Okay, this was one way to form the hypothesis. We are going to, in this particular session, we are going to see a different way, and this particular different way says that hypothesis is going to be a tuple that contains the space for all the attributes. How many attributes we have? 6. First attribute, second attribute, third attribute, fourth attribute, fifth attribute, sixth attribute. It's space. It has a space for 6 attributes. And whenever I am at a particular, for example, for this attribute, I can specify 3 things. Okay, either I supply a value, or I supply question mark, or supply 5. So all these things would be clear to you within very soon when I would give an example. So here I can supply how many values? 3 values. So here also I can supply 3 values. Here I can supply 3 values, and then by this I can generate a hypothesis. Okay, all right. So So, okay. And what do they mean? If I specify question mark, then that any value is specified. If I supply a value, then only that value would be acceptable at this particular place. If I supply phi, then no value would be acceptable at that particular place. Okay. So example would come. So if you have a hypothesis defined in this way, the way that I just talked about, then if a new item comes X, for example, the item that we have just discussed, this was the item X. This was the item X. New item X has come. This is the item. So when a new item comes and it satisfies all the constraints, what are the constraints? The values that I'm going to tell. Then the hypothesis space, this particular hypothesis actually classifies this particular item as a positive item. Then the hypothesis classifies this particular item as a positive example. Okay. So let us see an example. Let's assume that this is what my hypothesis is. So can anybody tell that is it the right way to say? First, you understand that it is a right, correct hypothesis or not? It is a hypothesis or not? Okay. Yes, it is a hypothesis because at the 6 places, first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places, I have specified either a value. For example, here it is cold, here it is high, or I have supplied the question mark. So therefore, it is a hypothesis based on our definition. Make sense? Miloni? This is a hypothesis. Any questions on that? Yes? Okay. So if this is a hypothesis, then what is the thing that actually going to happen with my example? So what was my example? So can anybody please remember me, because the slides are different. Let me just try to copy it. Okay, can I copy it? Copy. Let me put it here. Paste. Okay, very good. Excellent. So this is what I have. So let us try to find out at the first place what value should be. Okay. Okay, I think I have placed it in the wrong way. Here I should place it. So the copy has gone. 1 minute. Okay. Cut. I should put it here. Paste. So this is my hypothesis. Okay. Now let us understand that what is the classification for this particular item. So this is the item. At first place, it is question mark. So whatever value is there, I'm okay with that. Sashwat, I need your attention. Is it fine? What I just said? Yeah. Second place, I need cold. And by chance, there is a cold. So it is also satisfied. Third place, I want high. But here it is normal. So I'm not satisfied. Fourth place, question mark. So any value is there, I'm satisfied. Here also there is a question mark, I'm satisfied. Here also there is a question mark, so I'm satisfied. So this is a problem. So can anybody tell that what is the classification for this particular item? By this hypothesis is going to be no, because my condition was that all the constraints should be satisfied. All the constraints will be satisfied. So all constraints are not satisfied. So what is the classification? It is no or 0. The classification is going to be 0. The classification is going to be 0. Any questions on that? Let me give you another example. And this example is simple because I would change here from the normal to, I would change it to high. What is the classification for this particular item? 0 or 1? Ravi? 1? Ravi? What is the value? 1. Okay, good. Let me give you another example. Here instead 1. Ravi? What is the value? 1. Okay, good. Let me give you another example. Here instead of warm, if I write cold, what is the classification? Ravi? Again 1. Okay. It is not going to change because at the respective position there is a question mark. So whatever you put, it is going to be the same. You understand that given a hypothesis, how can you find out that what is the classification? Okay. So can you tell me what is the accuracy of this hypothesis? So I would leave it to you. It's your exercise on the database that I have shown. On that database, you run this and try to find out that what this hypothesis says. And then you find out that what percentage are the places where it is going to agree. Now we want to talk about that if this is a hypothesis, then at some places it may be possible that you can write, for example, if it was a question mark, cold, high, question mark. If I put at this place also the question mark and take the everything same, so what do you think? The places where this hypothesis, and this is the B hypothesis, the places where the hypothesis A was giving me yes, hypothesis would also give me yes, but there would be more places where this HB would give me yes. Okay, there would be more places where this second hypothesis is going to give me yes. Okay, all the places where this hypothesis were giving me yes, this new hypothesis would also give me yes at those places. Okay, but there will be few more S's in this particular setting. So if this is that, then we say that HB is more general. HB is more general than HA. Okay, HB is more general than HA. Whether this part is clear? Sanidhya, Goransh, do you understand that what I mean by general? By the general, we mean that places where it was giving yes, here we get more places where it is going to give you yes. So this is more general. Or in the same line, we can say that HB is more specific than HA. We can say that HB is more specific than HA. This second hypothesis is more specific. Sorry, this HA is more specific. I think I have written wrong here. HA is more specific because HB is more general, then HA is more specific. So specific and general, these are the two things that we are going to exploit at later point of time also. So what is the more, if I just give you this thing and ask you that which is more specific, if I give you these two hypotheses and ask which one is more specific. So you see that which is more specifying the value. You can say that this is specifying two values and here only one value is specified. So who is more specific? This one. Okay. Okay. So you are specifying something. After specifying, when you specify something, what is going to happen? That the number of yes actually reduces. Okay. So if you are here with the sum hypothesis and you specify more, so number of S are going to be reduced. At the end, what would be the most hypothesis thing? That when you put phi, if you put phi anywhere at any location, if you put phi, so it would not accept any value. But you would be having the example with because your attribute is going to have some value. It is telling that I will not accept any value. So what would happen? That it would give you 0. So ultimately, you would reach to the place where you say that phi. Most specific one is the having all the places phi. Most general one is having all the places question mark. Most general. And if you go toward the general, the number of yes that it is going to tell you is going to be the more. Make sense? Okay. So more general, and now I'm going to talk about in this particular line most general. So you know that most general is going to be the one where all the things are actually here, question marks only. So this is the hypothesis given to you that all the things when all the things are When all the places there is a question mark, this is the most general hypothesis. So till now, any problem? Any questions? So we have just talked about that what is the most general hypothesis. Most specific, everything is specified, and everywhere there is a phi. Means I cannot take any value at any particular place. Okay. So before going to the next slide, I want to come back to the first slide once again. And here I wanted to ask a small question that can you tell me that based on our setting that how many data points, what is my space, what is my example space, means how many different examples I can have in this particular setting. How many different examples I can have in this particular setting? Can you tell me? So you see that wind can take only two values, water can take only two values, sky can take only three values, forecast take two values, humidity take two values. So total 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This many number. What is this number? Not more than 96 different arise thing can be possible. Okay. But when you apply, because this enjoy sport is also going to take two values. So two examples, every possible x can be assigned to into the two ways. So here if you multiply again by 2, you get this value that you are telling 192 different examples are possible. So our space is very small. How many examples have? 192 only. Out of them, how many are disclosed to you? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 are disclosed to you. These are those 4. Make sense? Okay. So let us again go to the small theoretical background. And this actually says that there is a concept called inductive learning hypothesis. Okay. What is this? We are going to discuss about this. You know that what is available to you. If you want to do a machine learning, what is available to you? Only the data that is there, only training data. Only training example is what is available to you. Only training example is the thing that is available to you. So what can you do with this? Okay. So if the data is only available to you and you want to make a hypothesis, you only are going to be good on this particular data. Okay. Because this is the only, it's not coming 96. Sir, okay. How much it is coming? Please tell me. Is it right? Why I have written 6, I don't know. It should be 2. Okay, because two values are there. Na? Humidity also have the 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. This I have written. May have written this. Sanidhya, is this fine? And now it is correct. Okay, I don't know. Looks like that I wrote this in a just now. I don't know. Okay. So thank you very much. So actually, whenever I am going to develop a hypothesis, I am going to develop the hypothesis on my data. But you know that space is big and the only smart portion from very small portion this data is coming. And I am going to create the hypothesis for this particular space. But what I want, because this is only, look, for this, I don't want to apply the hypothesis. Why? Because for these examples, I know that what is the right label. It is given into the table. If there is some hypothesis, for example, a database is given to you and a hypothesis is given to you. And for any example that is here, if I ask you that what is the target value for this? So it is not a wise thing to do that you are going to use this hypothesis to find out what is this value, because this value may be wrong. When a table, when an example is given to you, you should go and find out that what is the right value over here, because this is the right value. In these cases, you should not apply the hypothesis. Hypothesis, whatever you are going to learn, you are going to apply for the places for where your data is not available. So you would be applying here. Hypothesis for this particular space. Your hypothesis is for this particular space. All right. So you want to be better on the unseen data. Okay. But because only the training data is available to you, you can at best guarantee that the output hypothesis fits the target concept over the training data. You can, but you're bound to do only this particular part. Make sense? So inductive learning means what? Inductive learning means what? That this data is given to you. You are learning on this in such a way so that you can be generalized to this particular place. This particular part is clear, but you don't have anything to do because the particular thing is not, all the other data is not available. So you would be learning into this space only. What best you can do, that you can be best on the training data only. But your hope is that you would be better on the unseen data. So inductive learning, inductive learning means that you are learning in such a way, so that you can generalize and your thing is going to be fit on the unseen data. Make sense? So inductive learning hypothesis is this. Let me just say, inductive learning hypothesis, actually this particular thing says this very important thing, that I just wanted you to read and understand that what is written over here. Any hypothesis found to approximate the target function well over a sufficiently large set of training example. It says that any hypothesis, if you find out a hypothesis that is good on the training data, make sense? If you find out something that is good on the training data, this part says this, that if you are finding out a hypothesis, that is good on the training data. Means what? This was the space, this was the data, and you are going to find out the hypothesis that is good on the training data. So it says that if it is good on this particular thing, if it is good on this particular thing, training example, it will also approximate the target function over the unseen example, unobserved example. तो कहता है कि if you find out a function that is good over here, so it would also be good on this particular thing. What it is telling? That if you find out anything that is good on the training data, it would also be good on the unseen examples. If this is right, what does it mean? It means that a function that is good over here would also be good over here. Make sense? Make sense? Do you understand this, what it is telling? Everybody understand that what it is? What it is telling? Yes or no? Ravi? Actually, it is not that intuitive. So till now we were talking about that how to do it, how to find out a function over here that is good on here. But now it is telling that any function that you find good over here, good at here, any function that you find good over here would also be good at this particular place. Means you need not to do anything. If you just find out a good function over here, it would also be good here. Understand? Make sense? Does it make any sense? Naman, does it make any sense? Yeah, this question I was expecting. So Sanidhya is telling how. Okay, so this question I'm expecting. Does it make sense? I don't think that it is completely making sense. We have to find out that how can anybody tell that anything that is good over here is also good over there. So inductive learning hypothesis actually says that if you are learning, so hope the idea is clear. I will not go again and iterate once again. Complete space, this data is available. You find out a good hypothesis over here, and this would also work over here. This is what it is telling. Okay. So in this particular example, there is a hidden word that you may have omitted. It is telling that sufficiently large set of training examples. You have omitted this thing. Okay. So that is very important. If you have this particular thing, then only it would work. So that's why I wanted to tell you that if you have sufficiently large number of training examples, then only it is going to work. Again, you have a question, sir, how come it is possible? So I have unveiled you the mystery that how come it is working. It would only work. The concept that we were talking about would only work if the number of example is sufficiently large. And what is the sufficiently large? I don't know. That sometimes you can say that the 50% data is available. You would see later. So sufficiently large. What is the meaning of sufficiently large? We'll be discussing later. But if sufficiently large number of examples are there, then only it would work. Now let me tell you something more. So I just wanted to bring your focus on this particular point. When earlier we were talking about the hypothesis, it was something like W0 x0 plus W1 x1 plus W2 x3 x2 plus W3 x3 dot dot dot. Remember that we were talking like that earlier? So, and in that particular setting, we also had a database. We had a database D on which we wanted to train the thing, and for new data, we wanted to find out. We have discussed that if a small graph, we have discussed a small graph, this. So let me add one more page here. Okay, yeah, once again. So what I was telling that we had the equations, we have a hypothesis such as, 1 minute, why it is, I think it is fine. Okay. So our hypothesis was like this. Hypothesis was x0. So what I'm telling you, W0 x0, W1 x1, W2 x2 plus W3 x3 dot 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 dot. We had a data. On this data, we wanted to fit this hypothesis to find out what is the right parameter, what is the right values of W's. We have seen that there was a graph that is shown to us that if this side there is a model complexity and this side there is error. Okay, so we say that the model complexity is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have seen this thing. So if the model complexity was 0, then there was some error. What do you mean by model complexity 0? Means only taking the constant thing. W0 is 1. What is the meaning of the model complexity 1? That when we take two items, then we take this equation, then we take this equation, then we take this equation. So in this direction, model complexity is increasing. This part is clear. And when I'm selecting a particular model complexity, I want to find out what is the error that my model is going to have. So initially, everybody knows this, that initially the error was very high, but when we increase the model size, then error decreases and at the some point it becomes 0. But this is clear to everybody? Yes or no? Yes? Goranj? Yeah, please type, otherwise I would be in the problem. Okay. So this, when you increase the model complexity, then system is actually going to learn more better, and therefore your error is going to reduce in this particular way. Actually, the graph is not like that. So if I draw like say initially it is going to be fast, but after that it goes like this. So this is on the training. But if I want to plot it on the testing one, so testing at this particular testing error would be, we expect that it would be higher, and it is also going to reduce as the things are reducing, but after some time it is going to increase. Testing error. So why it is increasing? You know that there are something we call it, what is the technical name? Overfitting. It is going to be overfitting. Okay. So if you go beyond this particular point, you would be overfitting. And why? Because your system is going to learn the data, is memorize the data. Your system has enough parameter to memorize everything. So it is not open to learn new things. Okay. So that's why your model becomes overfit. So this part is clear. Okay. This part is overfitting. If you increase the model complexity, if you increase beyond this particular model complexity, beyond this particular line, then you are going to get the overfitting. Now I want to ask you an important thing. That what is model complexity versus number of model complexity versus number of examples. So you know that in the previous example, when we are discussing at what point it was becoming 0, if let's assume you have in this particular setting only, let's assume that your database contains 10 items, 10 examples. Then the error would be 0 at what value? What would be this point? This point would be 10. If you take 10 example, if your model complexity is up to the x to the power 10, then it would become 0. Saswat, is it clear? Because look, this is just like that if when I say that if two training examples are there, then hx is equal to w0 plus w1 x1 plus w2 x2 suffices. Three training examples are there. When more training examples are there, then you put w3 x3. More training examples, you put more parameters over here. When number of parameters are going to increase and they are of the size of number of training examples over there, then you can exactly know that at what points they are 0, then you can also make the parameter 0 at those number of points. So the point is that if 10 data examples are given to you in the previous classes, we have studied this, that if the 10 training examples are given to you, then when this value is 10, then at that particular point the things would become 0. This part is clear to you or not? Anybody? Ravi Kant, Ravi Kumar? Not clear, please let me know. It is not clear? Okay. Okay, you can take this particular thing, this particular equation, because this is the hypothesis. Na? You can take it into this particular way. I can say that x minus w0, x minus w1, x minus w2, x minus w3, 3 dot dot dot. Can you see this into this particular form? Because if you open this, then again you would be finding something of this particular kind. Ravi, conscious is clear? Everybody, is it clear? That the same expression can be seen into this particular way. Yes or no? Everybody, I need more yes. Ravi is telling yes. Into the same way, because the parameters would change. I'm not telling that this W0 and this W1 are the same. They are going to be different. Let me say write W. It is a W dash. They are different, but we can also convert this into this particular form. Make sense? Everybody, because you can see that the higher term again is going to be something, and then we can here also you can also put some w if you are not satisfied with that. So you can see into this particular way. Make sense? Everybody? Yeah. Please type. Please type. I need your participation. Please. Then it would be more fun to teach you. Okay. So you can think that into this way. Also assume that in my database. Also assume in my database. Let's assume that x and y is only two values are there. Multiple values are not there. So here, if I give only one example, for example, at x is equal to 2, the value is equal to 0. If I say like this, so then if this hypothesis is of this particular kind, w dash and x minus w0, it would suffice. It will suffice because I know that value of w. I can find out what is the value of w dash and w0. I can definitely find out what is the value if this is my model is. If this is my model is, I can find out what are the right parameter. Can you help me to find out that? Because I know that h is equal to, when x is equal to 2, I say that w0 w dash x plus w0 w dash. So I put 2x is plus w0 w dash is equal to 0. I have to put like that. Okay. Can I find out what is the value of w and w0? Because w dash is 2, w dash is 2 here, because we have put here 2. Okay, w dash is equal to 2. What is w0? w0 is 0. w0 is 0. Makes sense? Then the formula comes out to be h is equal to 2x minus 0. This is what the formula is. Here my hypothesis is, sir, what about the power of x? Okay, we'll talk it later. Okay. So let's assume that, here in this particular example, we are assuming that only one parameter is there. Only one attribute is there. Multiple attributes would be there. We can take it, extend it later. Only one, x has only one values. Okay. X has only one value. Okay. So this is how it is. Now the important point, till now everything is fine. That if only one example, what I wanted to tell you, that if you have only one example, then x to the power 1, this term it suffices. Make sense? And you can find out the hypothesis into this particular way. Fine? Yes or no? Now let me tell you that if you more examples are there, x is at the 3 it is 1. For example, at the 3 it is 1. Let me say one more point. Then this single equation would not suffice. Then you have to you have to write into this particular way that h is equal to w dash x minus w0 plus x minus w1. You have to write into this way. Using these examples, you would be generating two equations. Okay, you'll be generating two equations. What are those two equations? You say that 0 is equal to w dash x minus 0, x minus 0. Okay, plus 1 is equal to w dash x minus 3 and x minus w1, w0, w1. So I'm writing the w0 x minus w1. You have to solve it and find out that what are these values, what are the suitable values for this. Make sense? If one more example is there, for example, 440, then you would similarly you add one more equation over here, and you need to have one more term. Then only you would be able to find out the right parameter over here. With every training example, if you increase the complexity, Once again, what I wanted to tell. With every training example, with every new training example, if you can increase the number of term over here, you increase initially this, then this, then this, then this, then this. With every training examples, if you increase the complexity, then you can turn down the error to be the zero. You would make the error to be zero. This part is clear? Whether this makes sense? With every training example, so you see from the different perspective. You see from this particular perspective that training data is given with the data is given where the 10 data examples are given to you, and you on the x-axis you plot that what is the complexity of model, and that represent what is on the how many terms are there. That actually represents that how many terms you are going to use, what is the maximum degree term of the x. Then you see that when the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, when this would be 10, at this particular place your error is going to be the 0. So initially whatever be the error, at this particular place the error would be 0. If 10 data examples are given and you are using the model that has a complexity of lesser than this, then you cannot fit all the data. Okay. So what would happen that ultimately here the error would be here, but at that when your complexity at this particular place, all the error actually becomes 0. Is it clear now? Something clear now, Shashwat? Okay. So what happens that this is the you are actually building this particular curve based on the what is the data that is available to me. Okay, but for the unseen data, the error would be everywhere higher. But this would behave in this particular way. That unseen data, the error is going to increase after some time, and this is what the place where it is overfitting. Means if you are taking more complex data, more complex model, you are taking more powerful model, then what would happen that you would not be able to represent the data into the right way. You are actually not representing the data into the right way. Now I wanted to tell this particular thing, that just talk about that how you increase the number of parameter and how you increase the number of training example. You see that the increasing the number of number of data item is easy as compared to the increasing the complexity of model. Why? Because if you increase the model complexity, you have to invest a lot of processing power. You cannot compute this immediately. You have to invest lot of power over there. So what would happen that if I see this particular graph from very high level perspective, so I would understand this particular part that okay, I cannot be here. Okay, if because these are the examples when I was talking about when the value was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 like that. But if the number of training example is large, for example, number of training example is 1000, can I have my model complexity to be 1000? Answer is no, because I cannot take those many things, those many parameter over here. If I increase the number of data item, for example, 10,000, can I also have the complexity 10,000? No. If the number of data items is equal to 10, I can take the complexity to be 10, model complexity to be 10. But if the number of training examples are increasing, then I cannot take that model complexity of that particular size. What does it mean? Means if the sufficient number of training examples are there, then essentially I would not be into this particular area. I would be into this particular area. Does it make sense? That to go into the overfitting area, we need to very high complexity. We have to have the very high complexity. But when the training examples are very large, then we cannot have the complex model. We cannot have that much complex model. So I would be into this particular area. I would not be into the overfitting area. Actually, that particular line actually wanted to tell that if you are having more data, then you would not be into this particular area, you would be here. And if you are here, then into this particular place, what is going to happen? This as the training error decreases, testing error is also decreasing into this particular area. Make sense? So that's why this is a very interesting area. It says actually that if your data items are large, if actually says that if the sufficiently large number of data examples are there, then you cannot have, this is not written, but you should understand, then you cannot have that much complex model. And that's why you are essentially focusing on the lower side of efficiency versus model complexity plot. This plot just we have seen. You are seeing the lower side of this particular plot. And in this particular plot, what happens that in this particular part, what happens as the training, if you are good on the training, you are also good onto the testing. Okay, because when the training error in this particular place, in this particular location, in this particular area, when the training error decreases, testing error also decreases. Make sense? So that's all for today.